Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Just completed my video about the State of the Union. Today's Thursday, February 26th. This video is going up Friday night, and then Saturday I will have nothing, maybe a video on my other channel. I'm going to do the whole health update today, mostly good news for that. I guess all good news, but, more clarity for me. And I don't know what else, but I want to talk about the Candace Owens thing with Erika Kirk a little bit next, and then I don't know where I'm going to go with this. But this is where I want to start off because people told me about this while I was making my last video, and I wanted to focus directly on this because it's so fucked up, right? So this is Gavin J. Newsome, and he ended up doing this.
I'm not, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you.
I'm no better than you. That's exactly the kind of thing a guy who thinks he's better than you says. No one thought you were better than us, you fucking moron, right?
I'm a 960 SAT guy. and, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940.
All right. So this is his strategy. This is the guy who's the front runner. I don't know what the odds are. I'm not a gambler, but I think that, he's the odds-on favorite to win the Democratic nomination and probably the favorite to win the presidency, right? So this is the front runner, the guy who's most likely to be our next president right now. Maybe not after this fucking thing. And his strategy is tell everyone, yeah, I'm a dumb fuck just like you. I'm a below average intellectual person just like you. You should elect me because I'm a dumb fuck and I make dumb fuck decisions and I'm just as much of a moron as you guys are, right? Because and that's the strategy. Like this is his fucking strategy. You should be smarter. You should have leadership. You should be more evolved. Our leaders should be the cream of the crop. They should be the upper, whatever percentage, right? In terms of not just intelligence, but just more evolved. Like there are people who are more evolved, been here longer, soul-wise. Not, better or worse is not really a part of that. Just somebody with more capacity, somebody you look up to, right? When I, Master Chargy, the third master of the Sajmark system, I met him multiple times. And in my interactions with him, he was just beyond me, like beyond my capacity to understand, right? Like I can read all these other people. I'm good at reading people. I'm good at like understanding them. And, it's better if you're somehow like, I don't know, I say more evolved than they are. But if someone's more evolved than you, you can't fucking understand them. Like it's like an ant looking up at you, right? These kind of things. And so, if somebody's a little bit more evolved than you, yeah, you can sort of make sense of them. But the people who are just beyond you, you don't understand them. Like when somebody's an expert at something and they start, like my mechanic, like he's really into cars and he starts, we have an old truck, like an old Chevy truck. And the guy loves the truck. It's much more than I do, right? And he starts telling me shit. And I don't know the fuck he's talking about, right? I don't, I know what I need to know about cars. I can do, basic maintenance. And, I like them, but I'm not a, car person. And people who know a lot of shit and they're talking about it and you're like, they're using terms you don't know and they're using lingo and, it's just beyond your ability to comprehend, right? And that's in a certain subject matter. But when somebody's just on a higher level across the board, like they're a saint, they're a higher developed soul, you can't even comprehend them. You don't understand what makes them go, because you haven't experienced it. It's just like when you get older, you can look back at younger people and you can see their struggles and you know exactly what they're going through because you've gone through it yourself, right? And so that's what you need as a leader. You need people who are, can understand because they've mastered themselves to some extent or whatever it is. But this guy doesn't want any of that. He's going for, I'm a dumb fuck like you. Like, vote for me, I'm a dumb fuck like you.
but literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
Because I'm incapable. I barely can tie my fucking shoes. Make me president. Right? And also, he's talking down to what looks like an African American audience, which is problematic in itself, right?
Maybe the wrong business to be in.
He's so fucking fake and superficial. The guy ran California into the ground. He's been a disaster. All that stuff he's done. In one bad decision, multiple gaffes. I mean, which perfectly positions him to be the next president, right?
You know, my dyslexia, I haven't overcome dyslexia. I'm living with
Oh
it.
fuck. Well, that's not. Dyslexia is a good thing, right? I mean, for me, like I have it, and I would never say it's like a disability. It's I mean, it's very helpful in what I do, and it's people with dyslexia see the whole, and they have trouble with the parts, right? And so it's a different way of functioning. But if you list the people who have dyslexia, who are really successful people, you can I mean, and not that I would that's not what I view as success, but lots of people who are what do they call disruptors or groundbreakers? People who look at the world differently, and and people with dyslexia have higher intelligence. So, it's not. This is being dyslexic is not a disability like he's talking about it. Like he's trying to make it sound like, oh, look at me, I'm just like you, I'm a fucking dumb fuck dyslexic, right?
I was the guy in the back of the classroom and my head down, just praying the teacher didn't call on me. I dropped, I went through, I mean, I think I lost count of how many schools I had to go to. And, I'll never forget, I'll never ever forget. My mom's choice was never to label me. She just had to struggle with me. And I walked in, I'll never forget this. It was probably,
If your point of view is that I'm a dyslexic just like you, that's not, I don't know what percentage of people are dyslexic, but it's under 5%, I would assume, right? And so, like, that's not, people with dyslexic are definitely different. Like, it's like, I think it's less common than being, like, left-handed, right? So, I'm just like you, I'm left-handed,
the 8th or ninth grade, walking home, got home early. My mom was always working, so, I'm cooking, literally lived on Stouffer's lasagna, macaroni and cheese. I got finished, 2 pots of macaroni and cheese and got bored. And I went upstairs and there was a file cabinet open and it said Gavin. In fact, she had a weird name, Gavinsky. That's like my nickname. And I opened it up and it was all of these reports from the doctors. And I never realized I was going after school 3 days a week. I didn't know what for.
Oh, so you're just like everyone else. You went to doctors 3 days a week, right? So you came from money. I'm just like you. I had 3 doctors examining me when I was a kid.
And it was all around. It was the lisp and the reading, the B's and the R's were backwards, spelling witch, W-I-C-H, or, the whole, and I'm like, what is this? And that's when I learned I had, quote unquote, dyslexia. My mom was furious because she didn't want that to limit me.
Okay, well, it didn't because you're running the state of California. You've run the state of California into the ground, and now you're about to run the country into the ground. So shoot for the skies, Gavin. Shoot for the stars. So that's where we're at. As this guy trying to. I'm just like you guys. I'm really fucked up, and I'm a dumb fuck like you guys. But actually, I'm a dyslexic, which is something completely different. All right. That's Gavin J. Newsome. Okay, so Candace released her first in the series about Erika Kirk, and I'm not going to cover any of the content there. I want to just cover this aspect of it. If there's some bombshell stuff, then I'm sure I'll hear about it and I can go revisit it. I just couldn't stand listening to her, Candace Owens. So I started listening to it last night. I had a reaction, and I was going to do this, and I'll show you the beginning of her clip, and you'll hear my reaction that I had yesterday. in a moment. But then this was recommended to me this morning. I opened up my phone. This was the first thing. Thank you so much, team. Team really worked for that one under maximum media pressure. There's no fucking media pressure. And so her video's already got 2,700,000 views, probably maybe more. I'll look at it in a second. I'll tell you when we move over to that. This person's saying that this was the best episode. But, like, it's too late. This is my reaction to it. That all this victim consciousness she's bringing and all the ways she's talking about being attacked, and I'll show you what she's saying about at the beginning of the video. Like, well, let's just go over to that. And then you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, you guys, there is a very strange thing happening right now where a young woman with absolutely zero professional qualifications has been inserted at the top of a charity organization that pulled in over $250 million last year. And the media is telling you that you have no right to know or to ask any.
Not the media, because the media's not covering this. So, like, she's, the victim consciousness and this bullshit Alex Jones stuff for people that, these are the motherfuckers that are soaking up all the energy. This is what Alex Jones used to be. Now Candace Owens is that person. So, like this cunt, and I'm going to get into stuff today about, like, the vax and the COVID. I'm going to get into stuff. Tucker Carlson wrote something about him, his, whatever happened with his team in Israel. And there's some Jeffrey Epstein stuff. But, her video was recommended to me 3 times yesterday. Like, it kept on popping up in my feed. It popped up on my feed on my, when I pulled up a YouTube page here on this computer and then on my phone multiple times. And it was the first video recommended to me this morning, and it was the first tweet. And so there are lots of things that I watch and I never see that channel again, right? And I might watch multiple things or whatever, especially like, some of the homestaying things. You can see the channels that they're promoting. And they're promoting the shit out of Candace Owens. She is in league with these people. She has a symbiotic relationship with Erika Kirk. This is part of the whole thing. And so this thing's silly. Like, they're not enemies, and and maybe, consciously that's what they think they are because they're getting into their roles and, whatever it might be, or, their handlers haven't told them what it's really about or whatever it is. But this is, there's nothing here. Nothing's going to come of this, right? And she might make a great video about Erika Kirk, and it might be, interesting or whatever. But it's, this is already, the ship has already sailed. Because if you don't have a position on Erika Kirk now, then Jesus Christ. Or if you're still like Erika Kirk, and at some point in the future you'll wake up to it, you're worthless. Like, anybody who still likes Erika Kirk has no value. I mean, there are people who are supporting her, mainstream people or, shills and shackled up motherfuckers. People are supporting her, knowing that she sucks, but they're supporting her anyway. And those people are, those people are deviants, right? They're sellouts. They're worthless people. So none of these people matter. Your audience isn't those people. But, the way that they come out, they're all against us. This is a banned video. Watch it before they take it down. And she's brought her audience back. Like, this video's already got 2,800,000 views. It'll have well over 3 million views, probably 4 million views at the end. Most of her videos are under 2 million views now, which is down for her. So she's reinvigorated her channel by bringing Erika back. And, now, oh my God, they're out to get me. And so this is this part, right? And it's just, like, you're disingenuous. You don't need to say this stuff because, like, none of those people matter. Like, if you're doing this, you're not doing it for them, right? The people who still like Erika Kirk and the shills that are in shackled up pieces of shit that are out there that are still pushing this, this fucking bullshit story about Erika Kirk and the rest of it.
Thing about her. The argument being made is that her husband was murdered. Therefore, she has a right to assume the position. And despite the fact that Turning Point USA is a literal charity, and therefore it's not even have to pay tax on that $250 million+ or pay tax on the alleged future billions that it's due to rake in thanks to a deal with a man named Pierre. These talking heads are claiming that the public simply wanting to ensure the person who is running that organization is, I don't know, at a bare minimum, moderately honest about who she says she is,
Okay, but she'll step down maybe if things get so bad and they pressure her out. But there's no one that's going to bring it back because Charlie Kirk was already fucking being outed as a piece of shit Israeli shill, and so it was on its way down already. And Charlie was whatever, he had his peak moment when Trump got elected, with Trump being Epstein, and we'll get in more into that. More into the Epstein stuff in a moment. But with Trump being Epstein, none of this stuff mattered anymore because the enthusiasm was gone because Trump turned out to be a piece of shit. And Charlie Kirk and Israel, everyone started to change their opinion about that. I mean, right wing TPUS gay people started to, say, hey, what the fuck about Israel, Charlie? And Charlie was like, in a bad spot because he was created by Israel, Israeli, Zionist money. And now his audience was leaving him. So, that whole thing, I talk about that all the time. Charlie Shekels, right? And he's a worthless piece of shit, not really worth talking about. And so, there's nothing that's going to come of this. Erika is not going to be charged with any crimes. And so Candace can smear her all she wants. Most people have made up their mind, and they're late to the party because, all the people that I consider worthwhile in terms of any of this stuff. I mean, there's plenty of people who are just contributing to society. They're good people, they're sheeple, they're whatever, but they're contributing something. They're doing service. They might be loving people. Like, they can be simple. They don't have to be truthers. Like, truthers for the most part suck. Like, just as people, myself included. Like, we don't get along with other people. I mean, people have this kind of mentality. Like, most of us aren't that great. Like, as across the board. Each person has to kind of evaluate their own self-worth based in this. But if you are someone who's seeking the truth, and if you are somebody who's aspiring to in terms of your level of consciousness and understanding what's going on, if you looked at Erika Kirk and didn't see through her bullshit, then you suck at it, right? Like, you suck at evaluating people. Like, you don't need 5 videos here from Candace Owens or whatever she's going to put up to realize that Erika Kirk's a piece of shit. You don't need any more evidence than you did when she gave that first speech. Like, how many of us were like, oh, well, who's this cunt, right? Like, who's this fake fucking acting nightmare of a person? I mean, that moment when she came out with her rings and her putting her hands on Charlie and fucking fake crying and all this stuff, everything that she's done, like, we didn't need any more information. We already knew what she was, right? Everyone should have known what Erika Kirk was right off the bat, just like we knew what Candace Owens was. And so this idea that there's a side here, and you got to pick Team Candace or Team Erika. There's why don't you pick non-team ghoul or non-team shackled up piece of shit, right? Because they're both horrible people. Like, they're both fucking sucky, right? There's nothing redeeming about any of these people. And TPUS gay is nothing. It's a shitty organization that is going to be less than it was. And, it's probably not going to implode completely. They're going to have to downsize. And, whatever they're going to be in the future, the Republican Party is going to take a fucking beating from now on. It's like that moment after the State of the Union and everything after that's going to be, it's going downhill, right? There might be a kind of a reinventing of these things later on, but I don't think there'll be much left of America by that time, right? We're talking, 6 years from now, or 4 years from now, when the Democratic President Gavin Newsome and his fucking, trying to tell everyone, I'm retarded. Hey, I'm retarded like you. Vote for me.
No, that inquiry makes you a monster. So I guess your job is to head to work.
It makes you a monster from who? Who cares? These people are horrible people. Like, why do you care about their opinion? Those of us who really have suffered from censorship and all the other things for years, like Candace Owens was, getting on her knees and servicing Donald Trump and these other pieces of shit, when she was a complete right-wing Republican shill. All of us who were like real truthers, and we had to deal with all this stuff, and we have to listen every day. People just based in their version of reality, they're saying that we're fucking crazy. I mean, that was just the beginning, and then they started to say we were crazy and all the things that they said. Like, who gives a shit what they say about us? Like, who cares about those people? You value their opinion? You value their opinion on anything else? There's a few videos out there, like negative ones, about me. One person accused me of being Jewish, right? And, like I knew I wasn't. And I started watching it, and it was just the guys were fucking retarded. Like, he was just really a moron. I'm like, why am I watching this? This guy was kind of funny. But, why am I watching this, right? Because, like, he's, not, I wouldn't watch anything else this person says. So I'm watching it only because he's kind of talking about me. He's using my name, but he's talking about me in a way that's, everything's like not true, right? And so, I thought it was kind of funny anyway because the guy was so fucking stupid. But I'm like, I'm not going to listen to people just because they're talking about me if I wouldn't listen to them talk about anything else, right? Because I don't value their opinion. The same thing with people with comments. I can tell there's people I don't want anything to do with, and so if they say something about me, like, all right, whatever. Like, you just, don't let the door hit you because I don't want, there's nothing between us. I don't want I don't want a relationship, right? I'm not looking to this person for like, listen to what this dumb fuck has to say about everything, right? Because I don't care. So, these people that are attacking, and Candace loves it. She loves it. She always talks about it. And you put out a fucking trailer so they would do this, right? Let's go to that part here.
Work 9 to 5. Receive a flurry of unsolicited emails and text messages reminding you that Charlie Kirk, the innocent man that you watched be executed in broad daylight live, you're to be reminded that that was her Charlie. My Charlie needs your help. Here's how you can give us your 401k and house. The emails have been landing into your inbox at an alarming rate, saying things like that. There's virtually nothing that the feds are telling us about his murder that makes any objective sense. But if you're feeling weird about any of that.
Okay, so the trial's going to be in about a year from now, or it's going to get started in a year from now. And, this story will disappear by then. And so no one gives a shit about that kid, like legitimately. And so, it'll come back around like these stories do. But the mainstream media is off this. Like, they're off this completely. Her showing up at the fucking convention, and she's disappeared too. Erika Kirk's in hiding. She came out for that little bad acting job that she did at the State of the Union. I just put up that video. So there's nothing here. Like, so this is just the people, right-wing kind of truthers, and, some people that, have some interest in this. It's funny, and Erika Kirk is like, the thing is bad. But there's nothing here. Like, the thing has been resolved, right? Like, the resolution's there. Erika Kirk is, everyone who knows that she's a piece of shit. She doesn't have fans. Like, she doesn't have, like, Charlie level fans. She might have some, smattering of support left. And their show sucks. We'll go to their show there, the fucking YouTube channel. They get no fucking views. They're dead in the water. And they have these events they'll be something for a little bit, but they'll start to dissipate. There's still those things that they have, that AmFest and whatever it is that they do, these big sort of mega events. They're still riding the wave of Charlie's death. Like, they're still like the funeral and these other things, these big events. But people are going to forget about Charlie. He was nothing special. So people will move on. A lot of these young people will change their worldview. They'll become liberals, and there's a lot of it'll be it's a has-been. Like, this is the peak moment happened, and with all these things, with Trump being elected and him being murdered and them having these big events, and then it's just going to dissipate, right? And so there's just nothing here.
You're reminded constantly that she is a grieving widow. She's a grieving widow.
You're reminded constantly if you go watch fucking pieces of shit that are, people you don't agree with at all. Like, you have to go search for that, right? If you don't look for it, you don't hear it. Like, it's just these pundits and fucking shills. And again, it's not mainstream media people. Like fucking Dan Bongino, like that bullshit thing. I showed you that, right? Like, fucking, like, why are you watching damn fucking Bongino? Like, fucking.
That sentence, in my opinion, is this year's Trust the Science. She's a grieving widow. The mainstream media, of course, Zionists implied, are effectively telling you to.
No, they're not telling you. Like, who? Are you talking about Fox News? Is Fox News saying something? They're not even covering this, are they? So maybe you're talking about Fox News. But MSNBC and CNN are not saying anything about Erika Kirk positively. The majority of mainstream media is liberal, and the liberals have forgotten about her, and they're not going to they're not going to stand up for Erika Kirk because their fucking viewers hate that bitch, right? Like, this isn't about liberals at all. Liberals are going to hate Erika Kirk no matter what. And they're mocking her because it's funny. Like, Erika Kirk is like one of these dumb fucks, like AOC and what Marjorie Taylor Greene used to be. Like, she sort of redeemed herself a little bit. But, there are these extreme people that they get targeted. Like Hillary Clinton got targeted, like Donald Trump gets targeted. They're the people who understand and see how bad they suck on the other side. And so this is not Erika Kirk is not this is not a liberal thing. This is about the people who still like TPUS gay and they're right-wing Christian people, and the people with Candace who somehow like this soap opera. Like, this is what it is. Become like a small audience, reality show, like fucking one of those housewives of fucking Malibu or some shit. Like those shows like that. But it's like one of those smaller shows, like the one Erika Kirk was on, that's like that. There was the shore, whatever that was, the beach, the fucking whatever that name of that show was, that takes place in the Hamptons. And Erika Kirk appeared in 2 episodes. It's like that level show. Like, it's got a small fringe audience, but most people don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? And so the mainstream media isn't saying that, Candace. You're lying. Like, the mainstream media isn't saying that. Fucking, only maybe Fox News, and mildly at best.
Roll up your sleeves and get the vaccine again, dopes. Tyler Robinson did it. Erika Kirk is grieving. Please allow her to do so in the privacy of the billion-dollar charity that she took over. Remember when they did the 6 feet social distancing thing? They cast that spell. Let your granddad die alone in the hospital if you desire to see your
Okay, again, they're not doing that. This isn't the same fucking people. What the fuck are you talking about? Nobody cares. Let me just show you this. So here is the one story from the Washington Post. As MAGA embraces Erika Kirk, Candace Owens goes on attack. So the way that mainstream media covers this, you guys know how they cover this, right? MAGA divided against itself. That's how they cover all these things. They don't cover it where they pick sides. They cover it how MAGA is like over Epstein. They love it when MAGA or Joe Rogan criticizes Trump or somebody, somebody that used to be in Trump's inner circle or somebody who used to be a Trump supporter. All these right-wing people, they love it. They'll show Alex Jones criticizing Trump, right? And so that's the way Washington Post is a paid paper. So I don't, this is here, whatever. So right-wing influencer and conspiracy theorist Candace Owens is lobbying her latest truth bomb at the heart of the conservative movement that made her a star. Like late Wednesday, Owens released the first hour-long episode of new series of Erika Kirk, who took over his role as CEO. So this is 3 hours ago. This is after Candace Owens is saying that they went after her. The Bride of Charlie promised to unearth secrets from Erika Kirk's past. There's nothing here about defending. It's shitting on Candace Owens, but they're not going to defend Erika Kirk, right? So other than that, Erika Kirk at the State of the Union National Review, Fox 29 Philadelphia one day ago. Trump invites Erika Kirk, parents of DC's shooting victim. Megyn Kelly breaks silence. Times of India, right? Megyn Kelly breaks silence of rumor claims she aided Candace Owens in her Erika Kirk Bride of Charlie series. MS Now, Erika Kirk attends State of the Union as guest. So they don't have anything, right? MSNBC doesn't have anything. Meghan McCain calls Candace Owens' investigative series on Erika Kirk evil, USA Today. That's one day ago, right? There's nothing here. Candace Owens, KATU, what's that? Some local fucking news station. Candace Owens teases an investigative series of Erika Kirk. Ben Shapiro urges Erika Kirk to sue Candace Owens over a new documentary series. Trump reveals at State of the Union as Democrats invite Epstein survivors and ICE detainees. They don't even have Erika Kirk in the headline. It says here, Charlie Kirk's widow, and that's the Independent. Erika Kirk will attend the State of the Union as Trump's guest. So that's all the news. They're not covering it. Not even Fox News is saying anything here, right? I mean, we go back one more day here. Candace Owens trailer for docuseries on Erika Kirk. Conspiracy series sees instant backlash. The Hollywood Reporter. Erika Kirk honored by Trump during State of the Union. Something on Facebook. They're putting a Facebook story up here, right? So this is supposed to be news. There's nothing here from mainstream news, and so not even from Fox, right? So they're not covering it. And Fox News probably doesn't want to lose viewers from Candace Owens. We can see what they say at Fox here. So Fox News, Erika Kirk to be at Trump's guest at State of the Union one day ago. That's it. Amber Rose defends Kirk's widow against online critics 4 weeks ago. Amber Rose. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, demands speedy trial. So this is all the Fox News stuff that comes up, right? From a month ago. These are months ago. They're not even covering her. They might be distancing her because she's become toxic, right? Like that's probably what's happening with Fox News. And then CNN, Erika Kirk moves crowd with emotional tribute for husband 5 months ago. Erika Kirk hints at G.D. Vance 2028 potential 3 months ago, 5 months ago, right? These are when the CNN, they don't have anything on her. Like they don't care about her. Like I see CNN all the time. They don't cover her. They covered her initially after Charlie died. Same thing with MS Now. Erika Kirk attends State of the Union. They have her fake crying. Erika Kirk attends State of the Union. Press Secretary Trump welcomes Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, ABC News, Bay Area. So they don't even, MS Now, they don't even have anything here. They had 3 things there, right? And so, and they know that their viewers don't like this bitch, so they're not going to support her. That's the liberal stuff. Then Fox News, evil Erika Kirk pushes back on conspiracy theories about husband's death. 2 months ago, Erika Kirk expanding Turning Point USA. This was what Charlie wanted 3 weeks ago. These are her interviews she did. So they're not even covering her. Fox News. So what the fuck is Candace Owens talking about mainstream media? There's no mainstream media that's against what she's doing here. And then if you look just on YouTube, this is Statecraft. Charlie was scared of you. Charlie Kirk's sister blasts Erika for faking his letters. Glenn Beck addresses the attacks on Erika Kirk. Erika Kirk attends State of the Union, ABC News. Candace Owens triggers firestorm with new series targeting Erika Kirk, Bride of Charlie. That's New York Post. Is that what she's talking about? Is that what you're talking about, mainstream media? New York Post, which is very pro-Israel. Ben Shapiro, this is the Hill thing that he wants her to. There's nothing here. There's no mainstream media stuff here, right? So it's people who are independent people, pundits, people like Glenn Beck and these other people. Like there's some pro-Israeli shills, and you have to search for that shit. People you don't care about their opinion, right? None of us care about it. Candace doesn't. So what the fuck she's talking about? It's not the same people that did COVID, right? I mean, it is in a way, right, in terms of, the overall people, Zionists and things like that. But for the most part, they're not, the mainstream media isn't concerned about Candace Owens going after Erika Kirk. The liberal media might get in on it just to show how much they hate each other. The MAGA's falling apart. Like, that's just, but they, for the most part, they don't care. They don't cover this, right? I wish they did because it'd be funny, but, I would cover their coverage. But they don't cover it. So she's lying. Like Candace Owens is created this false narrative. There are people online on like Twitter, pundits, people with a following, the same people that are, the shitty shill people that already hate Candace and love Erika. This is part of this whole drama. But there's nothing else here.
Grandma, this Thanksgiving, it's because you're a demon from the gates of hell. Resist your human instincts. Obey the government. It's the same kind of messaging, the same kind of emotional manipulation, but it's a new year. Still have questions or concerns about who Erika Kirk is and why she seems to have lied many times on record? Well, you're Satan, and I'm sorry that you are. And also, I would like to remind you that you are destroying Charlie's legacy. Now, it is very important that I remind you, we haven't even said anything yet. A 2-minute trailer resulted in one of the most aggressive preemptive PR strikes that I have ever seen.
Okay, so, her especially that crazy fucking bitch there. Look at that crazy, So, I saw Candace Owens' tweet, where she said, that she wanted to thank all these people. I don't know if you guys can hear my guinea fowl that are in the background. But she was thanking all these people for promoting her thing. She's almost at 3 million views. And she put out the trailer for this reason. She put out the trailer hoping that she was trolling these people, that there'd be a reaction. Because the reaction was going to generate views. Her podcast has been suffering. She's not the number one podcast anymore. She's far from it. And, this is what she cares about. And, this thing, she's been slamming Erika Kirk now for a while. But this trailer kicked this one video up because people are like, oh my God, we got to see that. And she thanked those people for doing it. And it wasn't the mainstream media. It's the Ben Shapiros and the shills that are losing their audience, whatever it is, the Tim Pools, all these other people. These are the people like, whatever, right wing, when Alex Jones did this. And it totally benefited her. And so stop fucking whining about this. Just get to you got some bombshell information. You got something new, or just your same old bullshit. And you notice how she's like, she's not talking about Chuka very much anymore, right? So because that guy was a piece of shit because she was lying and sack of shit. This is just say what you got to say, right? Stop promoting. You want to be popular. You want to have a good you want to have a lot of views from dumb fucks, sure. But don't pretend like you're something special and that you're breaking ground here, because the majority of us saw it the first fucking day, and it took you 3.5 months to finally go after Erika Kirk. You stepped around it. And you hated that bitch long before any of us even knew her name. Like, you knew that she was, when Charlie kicked you to the curb and started listening to Erika, and you had to quit, Turning Point started to lie to you, and you were hurt, and, all the stuff that she talked about, right? That's, that's when she knew Erika was a cunt, right?
They posted photos of my manager's infant daughter.
Who's they? Who posted? Who was that? Who did that? Who's they? Because you said the mainstream media, they didn't fucking do that. Like, who fucking did that, right? Name the person that did that. Is it some fucking obscure person? Like, do I have to go search that? Just name the fucking person. It was one person who did that. Maybe some other fucking piece of shit shared it, right?
My makeup artist, my family members.
Or did you do that? Do you have troll accounts that you posted that shit?
You'll have a voicemail from my producer. Okay. Well, this was initially supposed to be just 3 episodes, but now I'm thinking about a season 2 and a season 3.
Yeah, because I'm getting lots of views now, and there's a lot of energy here, and I really want lots of views. I want to be the number one. I want to be with Candace. Everyone look at me. Candace, it's me, Candace. Candace.
If you haven't quite figured me out yet.
Yeah, we figured you out. You're a cunt, right? Just like Erika is a cunt. And you're fucking, you're both attention whores, and we figured you out.
Thought through how we got here. I don't like it when innocent people are targeted and attacked and, on rare occasions, shot in the neck in broad daylight.
No, he wasn't innocent. If it was done by Israel, which it more than likely was, if he's actually dead, whatever this fucking thing is, he took $100 million from people who were basically worse than mafia, worse than gangsters, that killed 300,000 children, was committing a genocide and an ethnic cleansing and a fucking, land grab. I mean, all the stuff we've seen Israel do. And then you said, fuck you, I'm going to start bringing people in to criticize you guys after I took all that money from you. You guys made me. That's, you do that, they kill you. That's, what do you think was going to happen? And he deserved all that stuff because he supported a genocide. He was going to college campuses and telling kids they were wrong about criticizing Israel for their genocide. So fuck that guy. He deserved everything he got. I mean, he wasn't innocent. You yourself talked about all the money he got and the shickling he did for Israel and all these things. And plus, he married fucking Erika. He's not accountable for that shit, right?
No one blinked when entire investigative series and books were written about Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, Meghan Markle, because they're public figures. I've effectively endured 10 years in politics with nonstop exposés and investigations into my background, but we're told Erika is somehow untouchable.
No, you're told by the Erika's people. This fucking, people you don't care about. So, just stop this shit, right? Don't make it like it's something like you against the fucking world. It's you against fucking people who are losing their shit. You're getting views and they're getting fucking run on. They're getting ratioed in their comment section, right? Like, just stop this. Like, this fucking thing. And she does this constantly. Oh, poor little Candace, little victim old Candace, she's being attacked. You provoke these people all the fucking time. And they react, and then you whine like a victim, and it's just fucking, I mean, just going against the mainstream media story, of course there's going to be, it's the people I call the controllers. They have to control everything. So once you go against that, there's going to be some sort of reaction. And, they ignore you, they slander you, they do whatever, they block you, they shadow ban you, whatever it is. Of course that's going to be there. Like, it's, everyone knows that. I mean, it's not a fucking big deal. There's nothing here. Like, what do you got? You got something worth saying? I'm not going to watch, but, maybe you guys will. And so if she has something worth saying here, like something interesting, let me know. But you're not talking about, Fart with Chuka and whatever that guy's name is, the hammer guy. Is it Snow? Mitch Snow? Anyhow, all right. So there's that. Okay, so here's where you'd find the real resistance. So I searched Erika Kirk here. Dan Bongino goes scorched earth on Trump administration for protecting pedophiles and tells them all to burn in hell. Just kidding. He's enraged over Erika Kirk. I showed you this piece of shit yesterday. This guy's get nothing. Nobody gives a shit. This guy's been discredited, and he punked himself by reversing himself on Epstein. This guy, it's been only 1 hour, and Candace premiere on Erika Kirk has already got 680,000 views and 70,000 likes. The Israeli op to discredit her yesterday failed. Of course it did. Nobody's listening to that shit anymore. Nobody's listening to these fucking guys. These people. The majority of people who care about this don't like Erika Kirk. Most people are passionate about this. Bombshell, Candace Owen just uncovered Erika Kirk's secret early years. As wild as anybody expected. Was Erika born a male? She didn't uncover shit. Erika talked about this, how she was a tomboy and she played sports and her mom cut her hair short because she always getting it tangled up. And now she has it long. And we've all talked about, I mean, this has been out for months. She didn't discover shit, right? The biggest reason I distrust Erika Kirk isn't that she groomed a teenage girl, nor that she clearly had a fake gay stage family dynamic. I don't trust Erika Kirk because of how many untrustworthy influencers are demanding I trust her and never question her. So where's all the heat that's there? John Fetterman said he was one of the Democrats to stand up for Irana Zukowski and Erika Kirk. He did. She's got that there, but he's not going after Candace Owens. This morning, I said there was a coordinated attack against Candace Owens over Erika Kirk investigation. It's mostly people who are supporting her. One of these women likely birthed Erika Kirk. So that's all negative towards her, right? Where's all the fucking, I didn't see one post other than Dan Bongino about this, right? And I'm sure there was stuff, but nobody watches it. Like, it was like people shouting into the abyss. If Erika Kirk is just an innocent grieving widow, there is no need to launch a preemptive strike against Candace Owens before her series that begins today. So just, I don't, and again, Twitter probably knows I'm somebody who's not on Team Erika, but regardless of that, there's just nothing here, right? Here they are, the male stuff they got going on. All right, so, here it is right here. Maybe this guy. No, this is another guy. So everybody's fucking going after her here. This thing right here, I saw this yesterday. All right, so that's, there was mostly what I saw was mocking of Erika Kirk. And even not to do with Candace, a lot of mocking was about her appearance. And again, Twitter kind of probably thinks I'm on the side of mocking. But if you're on that side, you're not going to see the stuff that Candace Owens is talking about. So it's just, just stop that kind of shit. Like, that's dishonest. It's disingenuous. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so I also want to add this to what I was saying about the Candace Owens thing. We all know that, I mean, it's admitted to now by Benjamin Netanyahu when he bought Twitter, and that Tucker Carlson would work with him, that he could push Israeli Zionist propaganda on those networks and the media as well. Like, we know that the media is heavily influenced by Zionists, which has been the case for many years, but we couldn't say it before. And so all those media channels I showed you are owned by Zionists or have heavy Zionist influence, and they're still not covering Erika Kirk and shitting on Charlie Kirk, and especially Fox News, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is Jewish, and he's pro-Zionist and right-wing, and he's, I think, probably pretty anti-Candace Owens. And he isn't even pushing Erika Kirk anymore. Like, they're all backing away from that bitch, right? We'll see what kind of turnout she gets at these next big events, but right now she's in hiding, and they have no, I'll go to their channel after this, but their channel sucks. Like, their channel's got no views and no energy, and it's just, no mojo. And so all of it's an absolute, like, sham what she's saying. Like, she's making it sound like there's this concerted effort to go after her. And when you look at Twitter, most of the stuff, I mean, she's getting all the views. So the majority of people who care about this are anti-Erika Kirk. Like, how many Erika Kirk fans does she actually have, right? And so there's that. Okay, so there's these messages that appear on my phone. Not messages, they're like statements, or sometimes they're done by news organizations. And people can do this. I can do it, I'm sure, on my YouTube channel. But it appears on my YouTube feed. And this came from Tucker Carlson yesterday. After interviewing Mike Huckabee in Israel, we were set to fly out. The plane was outside, but the Israelis still had our passports. Now, I don't know why he would go there. Like, that's just retarded. I mean, why would you go there? You could have interviewed him over, using the internet. I mean, maybe you want to do a personal interview, but why the fuck would you go to Israel after all the shit that you said? But anyways, but the Israelis still had our passports. 4 of us were flying private. One was flying commercial with the gear. Like, why didn't you let him fly private? My business partner and I were waiting. Our 2 producers had spent the night in Tel Aviv, and they were called into rooms and given the 3rd degree. They were about to leave. We had a departure slot. Security wouldn't let them go. One came out and said it was the weirdest experience of his life. They asked him questions about the interview. Who did you speak to? What did you talk about? Why did you ask those questions? Was it hostile? Everything in the terminal was taped. Israel is surveillance state. They know the answers. This wasn't security, it was interrogation. They held his passport while questioning him. The younger producer was still in the room being questioned. A woman told me to leave him and they'd bring him later. Twice they said that. I refused. We got on a plane and a reporter asking about it. Okay, I have to switch slides here. We got on the plane, reporter asking about it. I said they pulled my guys into a room and interrogated them. To this moment, I have not heard from Mike Huckabee or anyone at the embassy asking what happened. Instead, Mike Huckabee publicly called me a liar. So who is he working for? We are American citizens in a foreign country. He is our ambassador. He represents us, yet he sided with the foreign government without even calling to ask what happened. And it goes on from there. You get the idea. And so that's pretty fucked. Now, Tucker Carlson's a lying piece of shit like the rest of them. He's so bad on so many things, and he's still, on Team Trump and on Team Erika Kirk and all these things. But, that sounds like that probably could have happened and probably did happen. And, if this happened to an American citizen, somebody prominent, I mean, they didn't pull Tucker Carlson into the back room. But if it happened to him and it happened to his crew, Mike Huckabee and Donald Trump should be like, what the fuck are you guys doing over there, right? This would be a major news story. Again, liberal media isn't going to cover this, and certainly not Fox News. They hate Tucker Carlson, so. But even if it wasn't him, it was somebody else, they wouldn't cover this. It just shows you who owns you, right? Like, whatever they want to say. So the other thing was this. Let me make it a little bit bigger here. Breaking, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has announced that he would resign from his academic and faculty appointments at Harvard at the end of the academic year, according to a university spokesperson. The resignation was made in connection with ongoing review by the university of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein that they were recently released from by the government, a university spokesperson said. So fucking Larry Summer, like that happened, right? So, there's that. Okay, so I'm going to do a voiceover later on about the health update, and I'll go back and review comments if they have any to talk about. But let's go to TPUS Gay here. Okay, so we'll go to TPUS Gay. Somebody did a good thing here on Twitter. Over the years, BB.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom
They're 6 months away from being 90%.
bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Once
Okay, so that was 1995 here.
Saddam has nuclear weapons, the terror network will have nuclear weapons. Next thing you'll see is a nuclear bomb in the World Trade Center. If you take out Saddam...
Yeah, that's what they saw. That's what hit, the mini nuke. And who has mini nukes? Israel. Israel actually did probably bomb America, that's my, educated truth or opinion about what happened on the big event 2001. It was a handheld nuke, those that vaporized that building from the bottom up. Remember, that's how you go look at the pictures. You watch a video. It wasn't controlled demolition. They never did a controlled demolition on a building that was the tallest building never taken down before was 2/3 the size of Building 7. And so, the World Trade Centers were so massive, not just tall, but wide. They've never done anything like that in terms of taking down a building. And so, it's an environmental hazard and all these things I talk about. But what would vaporize it in terms of its bringing it down in its own footprint? These mini nukes, right? There's this guy, Dmitry Halazov. You can look it up. He's a former Russian. He was a Russian arms dealer, and he talked about how it was obviously mini nukes, and Israel is expert in taking buildings down with mini nukes.
Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Oh, okay. So that was from 2025, 2018, 2015, 2012, 2006, and 1995. And so really what this speaks to is Iran has not, they could have, according to this guy, if this guy's not a lying piece of shit, of course he is, but, if you want credibility, right, that Iran has the ability to make a nuclear bomb since 1995, and that's, over 30 years. I think there's older videos of other prominent Israeli people saying this about Iran, right? Before that, in the 80s and the 70s, but at least in terms of Netanyahu, it's over 31 years, and they haven't done it. And so that shows that maybe they have some self-restraint, and that we don't have to go to war with them because, it's not in our best interest. All right, so there's that. Okay, so narco nightmare El Mencho killed Mexico explodes, 2,000 views 2 hours ago. 1 day ago, the left's assassination culture must be stopped. And Charlie Kirk with a finger up to his temple in a, whatever it is. 10,000 views. So people don't give a shit about Charlie Kirk's, his fans have dissipated. 10,000 views a day ago. Breaking new update in Tyler Robinson. There's a picture of Charlie and Tyler Robinson there together. 26,000 views. Tyler Robinson, motion denied. And then they got this. Dennis Prager is back with a tidal wave. that is terrifying the left. Prager University, and there's a picture of, I guess, Andrew Kovic smiling. 29,000 views. I bet they propped that up. Why is the left so racist? 5,000 views. Gavin Newsome. More racism from Democrats. Gavin Newsome. And look at Andrew Kovic pointing at you. Only 5,000 views, right? Red, White, and Ruthless, U.S. Olympic men's hockey team, Maids America. Only 6,000 views for the hockey team winning, right? Like in Andrew Kovic. Look at that fucking thumbnail. Be like her. Woke Olympian fails while grateful American triumphs. 54,000 views. I bet that has been propped up. The Colbert canceled hoax exposed. 8,000 views. So there's nothing here. I mean, it's a sad little nothing channel, right? I mean, I don't even want to look at the videos, and I think they were censoring their comments. So, I mean, it's just, I'm going to just X out of this and I've kept this up for a while now, but I'm just over it. And it seems like the Candace Owens thing, I scrolled through Twitter with the Candace Owens and Erika Kirk, both of their names in the search box, in the search bar. And it seems like the bombshell thing was Candace Owens saying that she might be a dude. She might be born male. Like, that seems to be the big takeaway. I don't know if other people are watching it and if there's anything else there, but, I'm not going to go comb through it. I just can't. Because, again, we already know all this stuff because we've been covering it, right? Candace Owens saying that she is, like, getting slandered and she's getting hammered and they're going after her, which is just made up. And, with all certainly not the mainstream media or anybody of importance, anybody with a big following, whatever that is, whatever backlash there was. But, she would have had that happen if she was like the rest of us and called bullshit on Erika right away. Remember, she showed Erika's speech and she praised her speech. And there was a few times she mentioned Erika in a positive way. She refused to go after Erika, even though all of her fans were saying Erika's a cunt and she's fake and no one thinks she's really grieving. So when she went there early, when Erika Kirk was in her grieving phase, she would have been eviscerated by the media. And it would have taken courage, but it would have been speaking the truth. But she's like everything else. Candace Owens is late to the party. Late to the party, Candace. And I can understand when you have a bigger audience and you're friends with these people and, it would have been bad if she went after Erika right away. But Erika was so fake, so phony. So she couldn't tell the truth to her audience. She had to string them along. She had to, play along with this game and then, wait till the shelf life wore off on the professional grieving widow. So, there's that. Okay, just a few more things to get to. Here's Erika J. Kirk. She posts Turning Point USA, POTUS, Charlie Kirk, 1776, and Miss Erika Kirk. She posted this little clip, and this person, gosh, I miss him. We love and miss you, Charlie. So Team Candace. So when's the Candace coming in hot for Erika Kirk? Tick tock, Miss Erika. She did it. She's so brave for leaving on the comments, LOL. I can't wait to watch The Bride of Charlie. Erika is a great actress. Yet you all still can't find who truly murdered him. Shaking my head. They couldn't beat him in a debate. They couldn't beat his energy. It's Charlie stuff. Super weird vibe. So nothing about her. She's got zero support on her own fucking thing here. You really think this guy believes in God? Oh, look, they got her here. Like, holy shit. Let's see if we got that. That's quite a one. Oh, look at it. They got her fucking moving and shit. That's creepy as fuck. So I didn't even know this was coming. Look, Lucky Boy says she's fire. She's on fire. So almost all the comments are pro Candace. Some are miss you, Charlie. Miss you. So there they are. Look, they got Candace there. So, I don't even know what Candace Owens is talking about. Like, she's got zero support. Like, look, they got this. This is the thing I saw when she was or that's one of them. Like just they're getting her left and right here. Um, Erica, what did do last summer? What should we do? Where are Charlie's parents? So like Erica's got no love. I mean, even on her own fucking thing. I mean, this was maybe she reposted it from Turning Point USA. I'm not sure what that is. Um, well, this was shared on all of them, so I don't know how this works, but she's getting lit up here. So, all right, so there's that. I don't know what Candace is talking about. Erica has no fans. I mean, it's just some media bullshit stuff, but it's like not even real media, not mainstream media. Like whatever that guy's name is. A few Ben Shapiro and a few fucks like that nobody cares about. All right, so there's that. So two more things I want to revisit from my last video that I didn't. There was so much I covered. It's a 3-hour video. But this thing where Trump gives, he's just looking sad. I mean, his high voice.
I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuyck.
Is that how he says his last name, Halibut?
Think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot that
We saw that. Let's go to the part I want to.
I want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Okay, so I thought about this today, and I don't know what I said when I made the video, but, Ellen DeGeneres got one, and, I mean, I think someone would have given, Jeffrey Epstein would have gotten one had he not been busted. Like, Jeffrey Epstein would have had one of these. So it isn't like a real honor. I mean, the people that they've given it to are horrible on both sides. So, it isn't like this is a real award. And they have given it to other athletes. But, the guy just stopped pucks. And, the reward for that is he's going to make a lot of money in the NHL, and he's getting a lot of glory from what he did. And that's, I guess he had a great performance, and that's good. But the American Medal of Freedom, like, Jesus Christ. There's just, again, it's not like all these awards are jokes, and I'm not a big award person. But, and plus Trump's just trying to cash in on their victory and this whole thing. I mean, it's like they have nothing to do with it, right? The Republicans and Trump. But anyways, so that was the first piece. But here was the second thing. Okay, so Kash Patel is 46 years old. And he's making a fool of himself. He's president of the FBI. He's in charge of it's the head of the FBI. He's a law enforcement person, and you can't do shit like this. Everything's a fucking joke, and like of all the shit, I mean, Trump's murdering motherfuckers and bringing in martial law, and all the shit that Trump's done and all the things that they're doing, and all the way that they're embarrassing, themselves and America is, it's like this is not the worst thing. I mean, you have all these people, but this is pretty fucking bad. And he's, having reversed himself on Epstein and having all these failures and just being a total dweeb and then coming out with this thing that he has nothing to do with these guys doing this. And he's like, when old people do this kind of shit, young people laugh at him. Like if I was one of these guys, I'd be laughing at this fucking loser, right? Like this is not, he's not a part of it. Yeah, so that was that. So, I mean, it's just fucking embarrassing. All right, so I don't think I'm going to render this video tonight because this isn't going to go up till tomorrow night. But I'm going to have everything edited and ready to go. I'm going to do the voiceover about my health now, and then we'll see if I add anything, if there's some big breaking story. I saw that CNN, which I'll cover in my next video, was talking about all the military that's in these ships that have missiles on them that are surrounding Iran. We're going to war with Iran, like it's there. Like they've mobilized all this shit over there. I mean, it's cost millions and millions of dollars to move all this equipment. I mean, some of the stuff might be in the region, so it isn't so bad, but still, just the fuel alone on those things. And so, we're going to war. This is going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's happening, right? Okay, so I meant to do a health update in my last video because I had kind of a cool breakthrough. I think it's kind of an interesting story. So, I went to this. I've been going to this holistic chiropractor since COVID, and he definitely helped me. The system there definitely helped me recover after a post-COVID situation. Actually, just let me say this first. So, I was thinking about all these people in power, and I've mocked them pretty hard, whatever it is. I mean, just words, said some harsh things at different times, but these motherfuckers poisoned me and all the rest of us. They released a biological weapon purposely, and then they doubled down to those people that took the vax and tried to force a vaccine that was equally as poisonous, right? Or even more so. And we all have to deal with it. And we have to deal with, even if you didn't take the vax, people are shedding that spike protein. It's everywhere, and people are dealing with it. And, I'm very acutely aware of it now because of this heart issue that I've had, but so many different health issues that I've had since they fucking poisoned me and the rest of us, right? And then the 5G and the 6G, which is also detrimental. I mean, there's, that has unforetold, revealed problems that people don't even know about. We're all energy, and, energy affects us, right? I mean, think about what the sun does to you. Think about what microwaves do to food, and all these various light rays and these various light waves and things, and they affect you, and they have. There's neurasthenia was first diagnosed. This term neurasthenia for telegraph workers who are starting to suffer depression, mood disorders, and other kind of physical disorders, headaches and things, just from the telegraph. Never mind electricity. Like, we're all affected negatively by electricity and Wi-Fi and these things that we don't even know about. It doesn't kill you. I mean, electricity can kill you, but I'm talking about the subtle things. And so they fucking poisoned us. So fuck them. Like, anybody involved in that in the medical community and the rest of them. And so I had a difficult time post-COVID. Like, it knocked me for a loop. And, I just couldn't get better. So I went to this guy, my wife and I went, and we both benefited. Our kids and things had gone there. And, there's things that were good about it. It wasn't 100% good. There's things I didn't like about it. And I just took what I learned from them, and I was just doing my own stuff. But, this thing came around, and my wife went back to this, she wanted to, do this thing from issues that she's having, whatever it is, health issues. And so I decided to go back. Like, my heart was palpitating quite a bit, and I was like, I should get this tested. Like, I've just kind of ignored it. I hadn't had that rapid heartbeat thing yet. And so I went in there, and I was very clear, you have to sign up for this 6-month program. And it's fairly expensive, but preventative, it's cheap, for what it costs you over long-term health stuff if it works, right? Anything that's preventative is good. And I was saying to the woman signing me up, I want to get the spike protein stuff immediately because the chiropractor, the main guy, came in. He's an older guy, and he's just sort of sent an email out that he isn't seeing patients by appointment. He didn't make it clear, like he'll see emergency situations, but he's just going to be sort of a consultant. And I said to him, I'm suffering from spike protein. He said, well, they've now found spike protein in everything, like all the other diseases, common cold, everything. It's everywhere. And he said, thanks, Fauci. And him and I had this long talk about alternative medicine, and, he seemed to be, a truther in his own way. And so he said he has ways to deal with it. And, and also the heart stuff, which he had to deal with. And, so then they wanted to do blood work and all these things. And when I went into, they have these things this machine, and it's like they hook it up to your hand, and you hold something like a metal bar, and they see if the stuff is good for you. It's some kind of I don't know, electronic thing. I don't think it's necessarily as good as muscle testing. And there's a young woman in there, and she had a tray full of stuff, heart stuff, and other things, but there was nothing to do with the spike protein. And then I had the episode. Like, I had the thing where my heartbeat went up, and I didn't know how fast. And when I went in there, it was up to 120 beats a minute. And I'm now seeing that my blood pressure is in the 70s, 60s, high 60s, 70s normally. And it goes up to like 90 or something, 100 if I'm exercising, and that's it. And my heartbeat went up to 250 beats a minute. It was fucking crazy. It was flying. And so I didn't know that the first time, but I said it was going up real fast. And the guy still didn't give me anything for any of the stuff. And then I had another attack, another episode, right? And so my wife and I talked about it because, there was things that were promised to us. And, there was like kind of they have like a caseworker there if you have any issues, and you go in there. And you have this little fucking notebook, and they give you all these things. And we went in there and we're saying, look, I need this stuff now. And she goes, well, they have to do the testing. I'm like, no, they don't. You just bring the meds into that fucking room with the thing that does the testing to see if it's okay. And so she went and talked to the doctor, and he had already pulled some of the meds, so he was on it. But he had all this protocol for spike protein and these other things, which I was grateful for. And I some of the things nervous system stuff. Like I said, I want stuff for nervous system, and then he had some stuff to deal with Wi-Fi and electromagnetic poisoning. He had some homeopathic remedies. So I was mostly happy about it, and I had a great session with the acupuncturist, and she, there's a little bit of a language barrier there, and she thought I was somebody else the first setting, and I was on my belly, and I didn't like it. And I could hear my heartbeat, and this was before my heart thing. Like, the next day was going to be the day I would have that first heart episode. And, I didn't feel good. I mean, I felt better afterwards, and I thought it kind of worked, but she gave me somebody else's treatment because she thought I was somebody else. And I don't look like the average. I'm just not a lot of people that look like me. So I'm like, how the fuck, apparently Adam Sandler and that guy who was shot in Minnesota. But they really don't look like me. But that's, I guess people with a beard. And then I had another session after my attack, the day we went in, during the first, episode. And I was uncomfortable the whole time, and I couldn't relax. But this time, she said she's going to go in deeper, and she's going to deal with the nervous system. And she put needles in my head, like a bunch of them, and they were pretty deep. She got me one with the fucking arm thing, where my arm was like, weird shit was going on with my arm afterwards when she took it out when I got up. But I relaxed. She put a red lamp on, like one of those heat lamps, those red lamps, infrared lamp, that it's good for you. And I just felt great. Like, it just changed everything. And, I got all these pills, and I just felt like happy. Like, I went in there, I was pretty stressed, and I kind of didn't even want to go. But, and, the whole thing, but I wanted to get a hold of this whole thing. But he did give me these pills, and he said to take 3. He said take 9 a day. 3 times a day, take 3 pills. And I took some of the pills while I was there, and I felt better, and I was like more relaxed and whatever it was. And it turns out I just looked at what they were today, and they're a homeopathic remedy that's there for muscle spasms and things like that, right? Which is what the heart is. And I'm like, he should have given me these when I went in the first fucking time with the thing. I mean, I'm glad it all worked out, but I was. I didn't have to have that second attack, right? Like, it just was, I mean, I guess it was good for me to see how fast it was going. And, I knew I couldn't have very many more of those. Like, I don't know how much my heart could take going up to 250 beats. It was fucking crazy. I was thinking about today, when we die, we're supposed to get into a thoughtless state through the meditation. And I'm like, there's no way that's going to happen. But when I do the meditation, I've been doing the sittings, my heart doesn't skip a beat. Like it's just, I mean, it feels good. And the Sajmark meditation, we're meditating on the heart, and it's the whole thing is kind of weird that this has happened. So what I've noticed is I've had muscle spasms in various parts of my body. So I don't know why that's fucking happening. I don't know if there's something going on energetically out there. I don't know if it has to do with this big event coming. People saying there's a lot of solar flare activity. But it's almost like the thing was a migraine that expressed itself differently. Like I get this condition. I've had it a few times where I felt exactly like I did when my heart raced, except everything's there but the heart racing. Like sometimes I get the migraine without the headache. Like it just feels like shit. So it's lower, it's less serotonin, and so it's a lower level of serotonin. And so I mean, the whole thing is like I was thinking about how this is like a experiment they released on us, this fucking COVID shit, and then of course what they did with the vax is completely fucked up. Like how fucked up these people are, right? These low life, fucking unevolved, just parasites that are, have money and power, and they fuck around and they, affect us all in various ways, and it's just, I mean, it's got to come to an end. It's just, it's a demonic system with demonic people at the helm, right? But like I said, I've had some feelings like I thought one of these things was going to come on, and I started to panic a little bit, but my heart rate went, there's a few times my heart rate went up a little bit, but then I was able to sort of relax and calm down, and so at least for now, I hopefully have a handle on that, and I can't have it like I had migraines. See, I haven't had a migraine in like, I've had one in like 4 months. So, it's like I have these things. It has to express itself somehow, and now I guess it's muscle cramps and fucking heart racing and the rest of it. All right, so that's the health thing. The other thing is like I just don't like to be conscious of it. I don't like to think about my health. I don't like, I've been ignoring the irregular heartbeat and just, and I mean, I want to exercise and I want to be conscious of losing weight, and I'm working on trying to eat less in terms of my meals and adding more vegetables and things like that to our diet and whatever. I've lost like 5 pounds, and I hope to lose another 25, 30 as we go into the summer and spring, which is completely doable, I think. And we'll see, because I'm going to be really active and all the rest of those things. All right, so that's that. I just hopefully I don't have to talk about this really anymore, because I'm kind of over it. I might say one or like a couple of, I might do a minute or two here or there, just talk about how things are going. But I think for the most part it's the worst of it's over. But what do I know, right? So let's see if there's any comments here. Okay, 2 comments to get to, both well, you'll hear them yourself. Somebody wrote, "You never broke a bone and you're 60, bro. You're literally Bruce Willis and unbreakable." Somebody else wrote, "I never broke a bone either. I'm in my mid-30s. There's a theory that it is special protection from God." Nobody in my family has broken bones. And I did a lot of fucking shit, right? Like there was a time me and my buddies from college, a couple of them were like ex-Marines, and we were like knocking mailboxes over. We were drunk with our shoulders, like we were walking through this neighborhood. Not one of my finer moments, but like there's things I did high risk. Of course, I got a concussion, fell out of a tree, but I didn't break anything then. Was in a cast because I had, I turned my ankle playing basketball. I rolled my ankle and was in a cast, and one of my ligaments was strained. But I don't remember any of my family having any broken bones. My brother's in Vietnam. I guess he got shot, I think. He had a Purple Heart, something like that, but I don't know about that. My brother did get hip replacement surgery on both hips. I'm not sure what the first one was from, but he was like my age now or a little bit older. And he moved down to Florida. I think he was in his late 60s. This is not that long ago. And he started rollerblading. Like there's a place there, like they have those beach boardwalk. You people walk down there. And there's people that rollerblade. And he had rollerblades, and this French guy came by, and he was flying. And he had four wheels instead of 3, I think. And these were just much better rollerblades. And my brother asked him like why he was going so fast, and the guy said, "Well, look at these. These are better rollerblades." And so my brother got a pair of those, and a couple months later he needed to get a hip replacement because he took a spill. So I mean, I'm not sure if anybody else in my family. My mom had some sciatic nerve issues too, but I just think probably had good bone density, right? Because there's things that where I could have broken a bone. My son broke bones, but that was different because there's he had only half of the genetics, but whatever. So usually good health, but like my mom had weak constitution, very allergic. My daughter had her constitution as well. My sister did. So and I had some issues. I had allergies and things, and like lingering things, and the migraines, which I mean, were a constant. I had some chronic things, like whatever they are. So somebody wrote, "Bride of Charlie, the reveal with commentary was everything. Candace is a Taurus. Taurus is the direct opposite of Scorpio, Erika Gavin. For simplicity's sake, the direct opposite sign tension really boils down to being the same but different. With all respect, and referencing your daughter Anna here, he's saying that because my daughter committed suicide. If I remember correctly, she was a Taurus as well as her mother, a Scorpio, which is correct. In hearing your stories, it makes sense that their relationship was so contentious, yet they married. That they married each other naturally insofar as their base personalities. Well, Anna was really rough. Like Anna was like crazy rough. Like I was saying this to my wife. We went to India. My kids were playing soccer. They played soccer and they played cricket. And my kids were playing, and the girls wanted to play. And it was like India had some, rules about girls playing. And eventually, the girls got permission to play, and it was because Anna wanted to play more than anybody else. And there's places to stand on the roof, or places where you're higher up above this field. There's this clay field that sports were played, and I was standing there with somebody, and Anna was playing, and she was just the fastest person out there. Like she didn't really know how to play soccer. We didn't really play it, so she didn't really know. She wasn't like good at soccer, but she was really fast. I'm like, my God, she's faster than all the boys out there. And my sister, the next youngest sibling, she's 10 years older than me. My brother was 17, and there was two sisters in between. And my sister used to run down the first baseline like a guy, like she was fast. We were good athletes, and my grandfather had played professional football for $10 a game, and my nephews played college basketball, and my brother was sort of a legendary athlete, and I was, I was really good when I was, I had a lot of athletic skill. I was fast and I could jump and things. And Anna was just crazy, but she was very physical. Like she was, and my ex was not like that. My ex was kind of a, wimp in different ways. Like she was very, they had different personalities, although they had the self-abuse and, the other stuff. But Anna's older brother, her Irish twin, he got along with my ex quite well. In fact, he chose to move down there. He probably got along with her as well or better. He got along with everybody because he was, Anna was very kind of hostile at different times. Like she was sweet in her way, but she was also hostile. And so she was always like picking fights and causing problems. Where he was just never, like he was totally unemotional. But he was also Taurus. They were both born in May. So, and my younger son, I think he got along pretty good with my ex. It's hard to say. So I don't know if that theory holds unless it's just for female Taurus and female Scorpios. But whatever. Like I don't know that much about it. Anyways, I guess I'll wrap this one up here, and maybe I'll add something tomorrow. So I'll leave this open, and I'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay, Friday, February 27th, and I have two comments I want to get to. I don't think there's any news. I'm just not really wanting to listen to Hillary Clinton because she just testified today or yesterday. Her Epstein stuff. I got one kind of thing that happened there, where they leaked the photo of it, which I'll cover tomorrow or in my next video. But I don't think there's going to be any big news. I mean, it's a Friday document dropped kind of thing, and whatever. And the war with Iran is pending, and we'll see what happens over the weekend. And of course, Saturday's possibly the big day. But there is a couple of comments, and let me get to them here. The first comment is that's not it. The first comment is, and let me make this bigger. Paul, do you know the direct quote from the Heartfulness Sajmark prayer for souls after death? You've mentioned it before, but I forgot that this specific message was, and I can't find it anywhere. It's essentially about praying for the soul after someone dies on its journey back to the source. There's no specific prayers. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else might remember what this question is about, because I'm not sure what I said. And there's no specific prayer. The idea is that you pray that the soul goes to wherever it's supposed to go. Like when somebody dies, you pray. Most of the praying in Sajmarg is, an offer of service. So there's the mission prayer, which is what you say before you meditate. And that's to connect you to the meditation, the source. And I have that on my Gratefulness meditation on every video. You can read that. It's a prayer you say before you do the meditations. And there's a 9 o'clock prayer, which is, I pray that all my brothers and sisters are filled with love and devotion, and real faith is growing stronger in them. And then those are the two, prayers that are worded in a certain way. And that in itself is, the idea is that everyone comes to spirituality. Everybody finds divinity within them. So that's really the essence. The prayer loses its words and becomes a feeling, and like it stops being a sentence and becomes more of a feeling or intention. And that's, and the transmission starts to flow at the end. You do that for 15 minutes. And at the end of the 15 minutes, it's always like, that's the best part, and there's energy flowing. Like sometimes I'll forget it, and it'll be like 9:07, and I'll do it, and it's the getting in those last 3 minutes are the most important part, because it ceases to being intention or words. And then there's that's all the prayers that are stated. There's no specific prayer for someone after someone dies. But probably what the person's referring to is, in India they burn the body, because the soul might hang around the body, might try to get back into the body or just be around the body. And then, people grieve and weep, and, they pull the soul back. They pull the soul back to them because they miss, when especially if this person is loved, if there's the love connection. I mean, it's, obviously different for different people, but when there's and if it's like a child or something like that, right? It's, people just can't get over it. And so they pull the soul back, and there's various planes of existence. And, if you're elevated as a soul, if you've achieved something, you eventually get away from where you can connect with Earth. You're always able to, through the thought process, through the etheric thought process, thoughts without mind, you can, come back here. But there's a movement away from the earthly plane of existence, and the soul, hanging around here, because there's the pull of love. Like if there's a connection between you and the soul, you can keep the soul here when it needs to move on to where it needs to move on to, through your grief and you're missing the soul. And it's always, that's the tough part about death. It's the people that are left behind. And, not that I'm making a case for bad relationships and bad families and things like that, but, it allows souls to go where they need to go. But when there's attachment and connection, it's painful. Like it's painful when you lose somebody you love. And it's, you you miss them, and and there's a need to connect with them. But at some point, the grief process has to end. Within days. I mean, it goes on for a while, but in terms of the shock of this, whatever, and then you just have to pray that the soul reaches its highest point. It goes where it needs to go. Like you're sacrificing your relationship with the soul, and to make sure that it goes where it needs to go. Like it's an act, a selfless act, right? And so that's what I think the person's referring to. It's you're praying for the soul to go where it's supposed to go, and not be stuck because you can't handle the pain of separation. Which, again, I mean, it could be weeks and months, but it can't be years, right? It can't be years. And like there was the second master of the system, Babaji. He when he was Sharji lost his mom when he was 5, and Babaji had his mom come back and give him a sitting, like give him a transmission. And he said, but she needs to move on now. Like he was probably 40 or 50 years old, Charji was. Babaji was probably in his 70s. But he had his mom give it a sitting. And then later on, when this French woman who does the Whispers of the Brighter World, she had a number of messages from Charji's mom, which were very moving, just like the sitting was. Like this, Charji had some, I mean, his mom died when he was 5, so he had the Indian family is just different than the American family, especially at that time. Like the family is everything. Like they have a meshment. I mean, there's, like a meshment where it's just too, it's almost like, too intense, the family's connection. And so Charji losing his mom was a big deal for him. And, he remembers seeing her packed in ice, it's one of his first memories. He was a 5-year-old kid. She died in childbirth, like a couple, from childbirth, not, Then his sister then died too. She was like 2 years old. They both died, his mom and his sister. And so, he had, trauma from that. And then he had set a path where he had a huge family and they just kept on dying. And as he got older, he had to light the pyre. Like he was someone has to light the dead body on fire. And it always fell to Charji. Like he did it like 10 times, and he didn't want to do it ever. So I mean, it was kind of a trauma. And then, he had only one son. And then the son started to have kids, and, and they started to marry, and, he started to have a family again, but he lost his, most of his family. So yeah, but the idea is that the soul has to move on, and you have those intentions, like it's you're allowing the soul to go, and you want it to go to where it needs to go. Like you're doing whatever you can on your end. I mean, that's part of the thing where, in the ancient Indian tradition, the kids work for the parents' liberation, which really doesn't happen. I mean, I guess it can help a little bit. Anything that you do to reflect good on your parent, anything that you achieve benefits your parents, right? Like it's, anything that you achieve spiritually, anything that you become spiritually, like your parents have something to do with that, right? Even if they're shitty parents, they played a role that, you become something. Like, Jesus and, Joseph and Mary, the parents have some, there's some kind of benefit, like like you brought into this world a spiritual person that moved spiritual evolution further along. My mom started to do the meditation. She was a devout Catholic, and she really liked the meditation. She could feel the transmission. She was sensitive. My mom was a spiritual woman, but we didn't really. She was very incompetent, and there was things about her. She made bad decisions that hurt me physically. With her hypochondria, which I've talked about. And, that's what it was, just the overall fear and incompetence my parents provided. None of my siblings were, we're all, I don't want to say just damaged, but not, didn't really like our parents. But my mom, certainly, her spiritual tendencies helped me. Having a good spiritual mom is great for kids. It's like essential that your mom is, has some, in terms of being a spiritual person, your mom being connected in some way. My mom was very religious, and she was, she had spiritual tendencies, and so she went to she had these prayer meetings, and then she started doing the meditation. And there was a gathering where Master Charji was there in the ashram in Molina, Georgia, and my brother was a caretaker. We had just come back from India, and I had just been made a preceptor. And my brother said, I had these thoughts when when Charji was, you get these deep meditations, these deep cleanings. And my last one was at Charji's house, and the cleaning was so intense. Like, I had the worst fucking thoughts, and I just talked about this in the playlist. Like, I was having the worst thoughts, and thoughts like, I was like, I hope he isn't hearing this stuff, because like it felt like some kind of gale force wind, like a tornado, like a level, some kind of 100-mile-an-hour derecho or something, pulling grossness out, like pulling the deeper cleaning stuff, like just. And I had a really tough trip. Like I got really sick, and I've been talking about some of these things recently. But I went through a fucking tough time, and then I was getting this last sitting from him, and at the end, like, I felt just complete bliss as he charged the spiritual point so that the transmission could flow. Like, this was amazing. Like, it was an amazing feeling at the end. But right before that, I felt sort of like sentimental kind of love for my mom. Like, I just felt like tears welled up in my eyes for a second. I felt really like a gush of love for my mom, which when I was a kid in high school, my mom was cooking me breakfast, and I looked over and I thought about all the things she does for me, and I felt love. Like, in the same year, I fell off a zip line, and my dad was just a narcissistic, fear-based, disconnected from reality, asshole, kind of weak person. And he was there alone. My mom was visiting her mom in Florida. And so he had to deal with me. He came upon my body. I was knocked out from my head hit a rock. And my friend went and got my dad, and my dad moved my body like a moron. Like, of course, I guess it didn't matter. And I woke up in the hospital, and my dad was freaked out. And I could feel his love. It was the only time I felt like, there was love there, right? Like, he was not a loving person. Like, he was too superficial and, like, walled off, incapable. Like, he was like not that he had like a Donald Trump personality, but that kind of, configuration where people are just, they're not really capable of love because they're immature and too superficial. But those are my two experiences of love with my parents. One where I felt grateful for my mom. I was like, oh, wow, she just done all this stuff for me. And I didn't say anything, like, I never said that to her, like, never said that stuff, which was kind of fucked up. But, but it was there, like, that moment when I was a kid, in high school, and then my dad's thing. But I was getting that sitting from Sharji, and I just felt this gush of love. Like, and then I flew out that night, and I called my mom, and she said she wanted to start. Like, that was, and I thought that was just a big thing. And so my brother comes up to me, we're at the ashram, and Charji's there, and he says, I want you to introduce Mom to Charji. Like, that's a thing. Charji was supposed to meet all the new people. Like, it was just an introduction. And it was right before group meditation. And there's one young guy there who I, later, become friends with, who witnessed the thing. And my brother was standing by the golf cart. He was going to drive Charji to the tent where we meditated. There's like 500 to 1,000 people there. And I said, Charji, this is my mom, Rita Romano. And my mom was just like, I could feel the spiritual energy coming off of her. Like, she was just like, and she was just really soft. And Charji was a big guy, and he had a gruff voice. Like, mostly times he was kind of gruff, and, he was kind of, intimidating. And he was just really soft. Like, I looked at his eyes like, holy shit. And there was just like wave of love, like all this loving energy. Like, I was almost like in a, like a sort of like a altered state of consciousness. There was just so much energy there. And my mom says, thank you for this gift of being here. Like, she said in this, like, just total, like, spiritual thing. And Charji kind of looked at my brother and me and then said, thank you for the fine gift of thank you for the gift of your two fine sons. And there's a young Indian guy that was there, and he's just, him and his wife were just these like really saintly, just amazing people. I didn't know them then, and I kind of recognized him when he came up to me like years later, and he said, I was there when you introduced your mom. He said that was an amazing moment. Like he was walking with Chargy. They were, it was just him and Chargy, and he was like, I thought your mom got liberation that day, which meant that she didn't have to come back to planet Earth. My mom later stopped doing the meditation because she, like she started, she was going to church. It was like a conflict between going to church and that, and it sucked that she went back, but it doesn't matter. But when she died, they had a gathering in India. I was in India when she died, and when they had a gathering there, and I was feeling weird about it. Like I just, I didn't like cry. I didn't know. I was just kind of like out of it a little bit. And my dad had died maybe about a year earlier, and my mom had suffered. Trying to take care of my dad. I thought she'd have some years of whatever, but like they didn't. I mean, she married my dad because she said she felt sorry for him, which was I'm like, well, that's bad for us. Like like that was a bad decision on your part, right? Or whatever it is. But I'm grateful the way that everything turns out now, so I don't care how like fucked up my parents were. But there was this. My mom went to these Haitian ladies. This one Haitian lady who was named Marie, and she was the sweetest. They were the sweetest ladies. There was 3 of them that hung out together, and the one that was a preceptor, she just kind of like these people that are radiant. In the Sajmark system, you'll find these people who just like radiate love, and they're just really sweet. And this woman, they were there at the ashram, and my mom knew like 3 people who did the meditation. And it was these 3 people. And they had heard my mom died, I don't know how, because they're in India. And they come up to me, and they were like so sweet. Like they were just the nicest people. And I knew that wasn't an accident. Like they were from Haiti, they're living in America, Boca Raton. And, there was just happened to be a gathering that was for Spanish-speaking people. All the Spanish people, there's not that many Spanish-speaking people that do the meditation. And there was, are they French? Was Haiti French? Maybe, I don't know what the fuck it was. So maybe it was, I think it was Spanish. It was Latin, it was probably Latin America, like that area. All the islands in South America. And there's not that many people. There's probably a few hundred people. And there were 3 of them, or there's 2 of them, I guess it was just these 2 ladies. And then they were just so nice. They were like, and it was interesting that, there wasn't anybody who would know my mom other than these 2 ladies, like in the whole mission. And they just happened to be there, like when the day I found out she died and all that stuff. And I just happened to bump into them because it's a big place. It's a 20-acre place. And I didn't see them again the entire time. Like I saw them that one time. And they were, so, there's this thing there. And then, Kamlish was the master then, and he hadn't shit the bed yet. And he came up and said, well, I heard about your mom. And then he patted me on the shoulder, like, so he looked off and, whatever, in terms of whatever it is. But, there's that element where the soul moves forward. And, we all have to, keep that in mind when we're suffering our trauma and our, our grief and our things post, when people die. Okay, so there's another comment here. I gotta find it, and this has to do with somehow this is the video. Nutless Trump State of the Union brings about the apocalypse, where Erika BB and all the there's something else I don't know. I don't just got cut off. So there's a guy talking about the very beginning of the video. I showed this guy talking about the story of Adam and Eve, and the third person's, is a murderer, right? Cain kills Abel. So there's Adam and Eve, they have Cain and Abel. And I'm like, do you guys ever think about where the 5th person came from? This guy does a comedy bit about, 3/4 of the people were murderers, and, that's how quickly things went south and all that shit. Kills his brother, right? Like, really bad. But I'm like, where do you think the rest of the people came from? There's only one woman, and there was, and you can't have you can't have 2 people started off. Like, it can't be that way. You can't have 2 people. The whole creation story is bullshit, right? It's just a silly story. If you're going to think the Bible's the Word of God, and then I talked about, of course, circumcision, right? Because I always talk about that. And so this fucking guy, I'm assuming this is a guy, I don't know, just from the way it's written. Adam and Yahweh also had a daughter, Haweh. So it's Hawah. So this person's like, one of those people that corrects your fucking grammar, right? And they got the true story here, right? Adam and Yahweh had a daughter, and circumcision come from earlier than Egyptian culture, but we only had proof of it as a sexual rite of passage in the hieroglyphs in Egypt. And obviously there's many other humans alive at that time, and even before Adam and Haweh, and then the person writes in parentheses Eve. We know this from the Hebrew. We know this from Hebrew and even most poor Western traditions, because what the texts say, i.e., if you send me out there, they will kill me, etc. So I guess somebody said that. So genius, who is they? The person's like butthurt at me, like I know all this. So let me read this again, because it is, where the fuck did it go? I lost the comment. Here it is. Let's get back to it. So genius, and it says, if you send me out there, they with capital letters, like all caps. They will kill me. So genius, who is they? They in all capitals. Why the fuck would you ask me that? Like it's your bullshit story and your bullshit religion, your bullshit book. And like you're blaming me for, you're like, hey genius, well, who's they then, genius? Like, this is your fucking religion. This is what they say happened. That there was two people. The first was Adam, and they made Eve out of his fucking rib, and it's stupid. Like, it's just, like, if this was genetic manipulation by aliens, then that's something completely different, right? But that's not what they're saying. They're saying that God created man out of clay, whatever it is, like, whatever the story is. I don't even know the fucking story, that, like you guys do. It's just that you can't have, I was talking about how, like, God would have known about inbreeding, right, and genetic diversity, and they can't start with only two people, right? Like, that's not how, this is a bullshit creation story. So this person's agreeing with me that's a bullshit creation story, but still is acting like they're the knower, and that there's something worthwhile here in this shitty fucking religion and this shitty fucking book, right? That they're admitting to that the story isn't. So that he's saying that there's a they out there. So there's other people. And so there wasn't just Adam and Eve. And so, like, that's not in your fucking teachings. Like, wherever you're getting this secondary teaching, just look at the condition of the world being influenced by these three religions that came out of this region. It's degraded, it's demonic, and it's fucking the worst. These religions, how they've influenced humanity based in how they've affected people's relationship to the idea of divinity. That's the evidence, genius, right? Trying to genius me. So genius, who is they? What you think you know or extrapolate from the horrifically poor and manipulated English and other versions, not translated, is not generally close to what the original story alleges. For instance, there's no apple involved. It's much more serious than that. It's more serious than an apple? Wait, it's more serious than an apple? Bro, what is it? How serious is it? Is it an orange? Like, what's more serious than is it an olive? What's more serious than an apple? No, I mean, like, yeah, I don't give a shit about it. This is my point. I've said this all along. These things get lost in translation, but the original story, the circumcision is there. This is what they've presented, and there's the Jewish version of this, which is filled with stuff about the goy, which they've left out in the, when they talk about the goy being less than, which they've left out, like the people who've all this stuff. Like, it isn't like, the Jewish religion. I mean, just look at the thing. Look at the way that what they've become as a people. And, all the stuff that they've been involved in that's negative, some positive things. a lot of good inventions. There's things that the Jewish people have contributed. Like I used to say all the time to people, you want to hate on the Jews, but think about all the stuff that they've brought into the world, invention-wise, and some of these other things, right? I mean, they've contributed to your lifestyle, whether it's good or bad. Even the debt-based economy that your life is predicated on, or things like stand-up comedy, some of these other things, right? There's things that you like about you can't. You got to take everything or nothing, right? You can't. You just take the good things that you like, whether it's America or it's anything else. But the reality is, this is whatever people believe now, right? This is what you've presented. Like, just, you're saying that the true story, like, there's a purity here, that this could have been great, like, that they got it wrong because of the misinterpretation in the English translation. These are failed religions. This isn't real spiritual. This is no spirituality. The way they present God is a narcissistic sociopath. And as a king, kings are not good. Like, royalty is not good. God's not a king. Like this, the King of Kings. No, that's bad. It's like saying the pedo of pedos, right? You think about the kings of being like, Prince Charles, King Charles, and his little brother Andy, and all these fucking pedos. And, King Charles had a relationship with Jimmy Savile, who was the biggest pedophile. He's worse than Jeffrey Epstein. Like, they both, you have two princes, both have a chance of being the king. And Charles becomes the king, and Andrew could have become the king. And they are friends with the two biggest pedophiles in modern history, and Jimmy Savile and fucking Jeffrey Epstein. Like, so, the kings aren't good. Like, so like, you're agreeing, this person is thinking that they're somehow, destroying my commentary, but they're agreeing with it. Because I said the Bible is just, misinterpreted and translated, and over time, like the game Telephone, it's gone through various translations from Aramaic and Hebrew into Latin, and then English, and then these various languages, and various people interpreting this and that and changing the story. That's what happens in all religions, right? And so like, you're agreeing with that because you're saying you're this isn't the word of God, which is what my point is, and it isn't. And it isn't. These aren't. This is it blocks people's connection to God. So, genius, who is they? What do you think these extrapolate from this horrifically poor and manipulate English and other Western versions in capital letters, not translations? It's not generally close to what the original story alleges. For instance, there was no apple involved. It was much more serious than that, and the sole reason we are trapped in these lower density skin suits doesn't make sense to argue any of the biblical points when neither you or them have a clue of what they actually say. There's no arguing the thing. I don't argue it. I say what they actually say. Just to show that, don't say this is the word of God. And like, you want to say that this is the word of God or whatever you want to say about the religion. And then, where's the fifth person comes from? That was my point. This guy was talking about how, the guy was commenting and doing a comedy bit about how fucked it up it was that Cain was the fourth person, was the third person, and he was a murderer. There was 4 people, and one of them was a murderer, 25% murderers, which is very high compared to most societies. And, it's a kind of a funny bit, but like it loses any kind of, legitimacy when you think about where's the fifth person come. But he's like, oh, they had a daughter too? So yeah, but like, what did the murderer have sex with his sister and that's where humanity came from? That's not possible. So the whole story is bullshit, just like the religion is. It's not a creation story. If there's other people there, then there's, this is, the book of Genesis is worthless. Whether it's misinterpreted and mistranslated, the religion itself is full of bullshit things with child sacrifice and all these things. And just, you look at what the religions have done, a religion is in itself exists, or a spiritual movement exists to help people connect to God. And these 3 religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, have done the opposite of that. They have prevented people from connecting to God. And so, this is where, going back to the original story of where the discovery of the soul came from, it was in ancient India. And I'm not a Hindu, and I don't talk about Hinduism being great. I talk about how it's better because they recognize any spiritual person. I mean, even people who aren't spiritual, they're con men. But, they're much more open to people becoming spiritual. There is, a celebration of saints in India, and that's better than any other place. There's lots of problems with India, like I've talked about. The Sajmark system isn't, an extension of any religion. It's an extension of every spiritual movement, everything that's come before, because the same people, the same souls keep on incarnating over and over again. The ones that, they come and they go, or they're overseen here in a spiritual level. The same people are, souls incarnate to help humanity connect to God. And they keep on failing because people just don't want to do that. And so, so genius, right? And so anyways, like I'm right. You're agreeing with me. Like it's a failed religion. All of them are. Like they all fail. But these ones fail particularly because of how fucked up they are and how much, how remedial they've gotten. Whatever good, there's probably good things in all the religions. I mean, the way that they present God in Judaism and, the Old Testament, I mean, it's just bad. Like the way that what you're doing is religion serves a purpose to give people a basic sense of morality and also teach them like the nature of God. And the way they present God is really bad. Like it's bad for people to think about God and the Old Testament's about fear of God. You should never fear God, because what do you do when you fear something? What do? You stay away from it, right? Do you go towards what you fear? Like, I mean, people do that kind of shit where they like jump off a building when they have fear of heights, or they go fucking, they parachute, or they do so, like that kind of stuff. But like fucking, that's not really, the fear is repelling, like it's flight or fight, right? So, anger might draw you towards something, like anger and hatred pulls you towards something, and fear repels you from something. But either way, I mean, being angry and hateful towards God isn't a good thing either. But at least you're going towards God and you're thinking about God. You're avoiding what you fear. So if you fear God, you're going to avoid God, right? And so, like what Master Charger used to always say, that Christians don't really want God. They want the Son. It's like they don't want to talk to their boss because they're scared of their boss, so they go to their son, the boss's son, and say, "Hey, can you talk to the boss for me? I'm scared of him." And you shouldn't be scared of God. It's the worst possible thing. God is loving. God is always loving, even to the worst people. Even, the worst sinners get love from God. So, there's no, I mean, the consequences are there. The consequences for your behaviors are always going to be there. But in terms of, God created everybody with freedom of choice, so there's an idea of, there's going to be some mistakes, right? We're going to make mistakes, and so that's, that should be there for everybody. So God's a loving God, right? And God's more of a loving God in the New Testament, but still not what it should be. And so the way that God is presented in this religion is not correct. It's, all the religions get God wrong, to whatever extent, because, there's people are at different levels of comprehension. And so, it's our understanding of God that evolves. God doesn't change. We do. Like our understanding of God changes to where you're an animal and you don't think about God at all. Only instinctually, and you don't have the capacity for abstract thought. To your lower level human, to where you're eventually you can understand the abstract nature of God, and you can feel God's love, and then you move on from there. Like our idea of God is always evolving. Anyways, so let me wrap this one up here. I think I have a death and dying playlist on gratefulness meditation, and I'm going to put this audio in there because I think it's important. A separate, video. But, yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Only spirituality will save this world. It's power of vital, definitely important for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.